I spit in the face of people who don't think this Backlash was cool. Yo, y'all. Did you see it? Did you watch Backlash from Puerto Rico? What a show. Can we just put every pay-per-view there? Every Raw, every SmackDown, everything in Puerto Rico? That crowd, that audience does not play games. I used to want to go to MSG to see a show. That was the bucket list venue that I had, or city to go to see a wrestling show. Not anymore. Puerto Rico is where I want to be. Damn, that was good. All kinds of good. I'm not sure how good it would be without this crowd. They made every single match important. No buffers, no cool downs, no nothing. As soon as they were up, they were right back up again. They made every match fun, marking out for the smallest moves, the most trivial things. They were so much fun, and this was one of my favorite pay-per-views from WWE in quite some time, just because of how the audience did not let you fall asleep watching at home. Not that you could, because all of these matches, even Seth and Omos, was pretty damn good, to be honest. So not only did the crowd turn out, but so did the wrestlers. And backstage, when they're noticing these reactions everyone is getting, that they are going to have to go out there and give it everything they have if they're scheduled in a match. So everybody turned out tonight. All the matches were good. Maybe the weakest one was the U.S. title match, but Rhea and Zelena, but even Zelena had quite the moment. So I don't think there was really a weak link on this card. And I found it ironic that it felt like the 6-man match was in the position to be the cool down match between Bad Bunny and Priest and Cody and Brock. So that's what I thought that was ironic, that the dudes that were in the main event at WrestleMania are now in the buffer match here at Backlash, but this audience needed no such buffer. They needed no such cool down. They were ready to rock and roll and slam and jam and strut and stroll throughout every single match here, and I couldn't have been happier as a fan, as a consumer watching at home on my computer screen. Pretty damn good stuff. Hit me with all of your thoughts about Backlash, your letter grades, A, B, C, or D, your number grades 1 through 10. I'm going 8.5. I can't give it any lower than an 8.5. Maybe some people will go 9 or 10. I don't like to give 9s and 10s out so easily. But I think 8.5 is fair considering everything we had here, and there weren't really any disappointments on this show. As we go through the results here, we'll talk about the finishes and whether you agreed or disagreed with how they went. Also, the match positioning. I don't really have a problem with anything here. I am, however, curious to read the stories, if there is any later tonight or tomorrow, on Brock Lesnar's blood. Because if you saw the spot tonight where Cody drop toe holded Brock into the exposed buckle, the second his head hit that, you could see blood appear. Like he just split himself wide open. The match ended kind of soon after that. So I don't know if they went home early because of the blood, or that was the way it was scheduled to go all along. I think the finish that they went with Cody pinning Brock into Kimura lock, that was probably not an audible or anything, but maybe getting to that spot and going home was early there. Maybe. I don't even know. Maybe it was all scheduled the way it was supposed to be. It did feel like it ended a little bit abruptly once Brock, has the crimson mask. But other than that, I thought everything was pretty well laid out here, and Cody getting the win over Brock is kind of a relief. I like the finish that they did with him scoring a quick pin while he was in the submission, because that easily opens up the door for a rematch here. We were worried that maybe Brock would win or Brock would get DQ'd or something would happen that would just set up a rematch either at Night of Champions or a pay-per-view after this. And the way the finish went down tonight, I'm kind of inclined to believe that Cody is probably going to face Brock again at Night of Champions. And if Cody is in this World Heavyweight Tournament on Raw, which I'm assuming he will be, maybe Brock comes out and costs him his match, perhaps even against Seth Rollins or something, or just knocks him out of the tournament in general. Maybe Brock just attacks him and fucks him up, rendering Cody, rendering him not medically cleared, whatever the hell that's called. He's what's it called when you're not cleared if you're in sports? Questionable, not questionable, injured reserve, whatever. He knocks Cody out of the tournament completely, or maybe costs him his match to set up the rematch in Saudi Arabia for Night of Champions, because as we know, the World Heavyweight Championship tournament is going to be Raw guy versus a SmackDown guy. So Cody and Seth can't be your final anymore. So my hope of a Cody and Seth Night of Champions final for the title with a Seth victory ain't going to happen now. Cody's either going to have to lose in the semifinal round or not be in the tournament at all or win the damn thing. So I still really feel like Seth is the guy for that championship to be the first to hold it, and I'm not wavering from that. So I feel like based on the finish here, we're probably going to get Cody and Brock again at Night of Champions. If we don't, what do we get? Because I don't think Brock is going to be disappearing. He's not going to work Puerto Rico and not work Saudi Arabia. He's going to get that payday. So maybe after Saudi, he's gone. But, is he going to really drop 2 matches in a row to Cody? How is all this going to work? So it really has made the future interesting because I don't know what the hell we're going to see. And I like that Cody did not have to take a loss to Brock tonight. But all the other matches were pretty good. The only match I got wrong, I got all of my predictions right, except for one, Omos versus Seth Rollins. Got that one wrong. I felt like they could put over Omos here if they want a giant, they want to get some mileage out of their giant, and they're about to belt up Seth Rollins in a couple of weeks. It would have done no damage to Seth whatsoever to put Omos over here. So that's kind of what I thought they would do. Instead, Seth got the win with a couple of pretty impressive stomps, including one from the top rope, and probably the best match that Omos is capable of having. And Seth got the win. I'm not necessarily disappointed at all because I'm Team Seth all day, but I feel like you could have gotten more mileage out of an Omos win, run it back, have Seth get his win back later. But now with each clean loss, because now you've beaten your giant clean again. So with each one of these clean losses Omos takes, he takes one step closer to being dancing Great Khali. And I'm just not ready for that for him yet. But he might, with each one of these losses, he grows closer and closer to that comedy character that he will inevitably turn into. And I just want better for Omos. So he did take the loss here, no big deal. The women, my God, Io and Bianca tore it up in the opening match, one of my favorite women's matches of the year. And you knew that one was going to be good, but the crowd just made it so much better. And Ripley and Zelena, nobody thought little third grade Zelena was going to beat, the captain of the football team over here, but she still had the moment. She still had the incredible gear that she was wearing. Her family was in the front row. Just very, very emotional entrance for Zelena Vega. Even the championship introductions to that match, she was really struggling to keep it together. And the fans sent her out happy after the loss as well. So that really wasn't about the match. It was more about just WWE giving Zelena a moment in front of her people, and her family. And that is pretty awesome. Other than that, overall, every match was good. Everybody worked hard. The crowd was dialed in for all of it. And I have very few negative things to say about this show at all. So we will talk about Bad Bunny and Damien Priest, the pops, the reactions, the surprises in that match. And a lot of people feel that match should have been the main event tonight. I'm not going to disagree with that. If you would have put Bad Bunny and Damien Priest in the main event with all of the action that we had, with the Carlitos and the Savios and the LWOs and all that stuff, that would have been an excellent main event for Backlash to have. But that's a celebrity, a part-time guy, and a part-time storyline. Your next show is Monday Night Raw. Cody and Brock is kind of your feature match on the show. You're probably going to have to close with that just for, TV purposes, but not that you couldn't have done Priest and Bad Bunny either. It would have been perfectly fine. And so basically, after that match, I wasn't going to let the fans' belief that it should have been in the main event take away or distract from what a great match it was, because it was fucking awesome. If it was in the main event, looking back now, it would have been fantastic. I thought maybe they had a little bit more planned for Cody and Brock, and based on the finish that we saw Cody and Brock have, now I'm kind of changing my tune. I'm fine with where Bad Bunny and Damien Priest is. I'm not pissed off in any way, shape, or form that a celebrity did not main event a pay-per-view. I don't care. But I also thought Cody and Brock might do a little bit more. So if that was the intended finish, Cody pinning Brock in the Kimura lock, then I would have done that and switch places with the match. I would have done that earlier and had Bad Bunny and Priest go on last, so we could have all of those surprise elements be the last thing that we saw on the show. It would have been a great way to end it. But that is a minor complaint. A lot of other fans who die on every single fucking hill aggressively might think that this match should have been the main event, and it's completely ruined Backlash for them. Well, let's let them wallow in their own misery, and let's try to just lighten up and at least appreciate the matches that we did get and how hard Bad Bunny, especially Bad Bunny and Damien Priest, worked to get that match over. it exceeded all expectations I had for it, and I had pretty high expectations because Bad Bunny comes to play. You know, he's not some celebrity using the WWE as a stepping stone. He wants to be there. He has no financial, motives for even being there, other than the fact that he wants to be there. He's a lifelong fan, and he's welcome in my wrestling universe anytime. Anytime that Bad Bunny wants to step into this world, he's not going to get any rejections from good mic work, because I think Bad Bunny is fantastic. And he really turned out tonight and performed at a very, very high level. And he is probably going to be hurting tomorrow because Homeboy took some bumps and he had a couple of scary calls there. He's not the most coordinated guy. He kind of has like Jeff Hardy guts with Vince McMahon coordination. He falls in a heap every time he takes a bump or dives off something. And he doesn't look like he ever really protects himself, but he's just fucking YOLOing it, man. And just going out there and having a good time. And it was all kinds of fun. Props to Bunny, props to Priest, props to everybody that turned out in that match. And we will be talking about it. But let me go over here now to the chat, say hello, to you guys and see what's up. Also, while I'm doing that, please hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe. On the road to 40,000 subscribers. We'll be there before you know it, but I need subscriptions. I also need likes. Memberships are open if you want to get into that. I got merch down there. I got socials. I got all that stuff. And we will be here tomorrow night, albeit 30 minutes later than normal. Sorry for those of you who are going to have to stay up tomorrow if you want to join us for our watch along. But we're going to be watching WWE Judgment Day 2003. I attended that show live way back in the day, 20 years ago in Greensboro. Have a few memories of it that I'd like to share. So we're going to be watching that tomorrow night right here on the channel. The link is already up. And normally we go live on Sundays at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Tomorrow it's going to be 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. I got a big day. I need to give myself an extra 30-minute cushion. So we are starting late. I apologize for that, but that's the way it's got to be. And we'll also be up here Monday night after Raw because I think they might start the triple threat nonsense heading into Night of Champions on Raw, I think, but I'm not totally sure. Either way, we're going to have some Backlash fallout to discuss. So we will be here Monday night as well after Monday Night Raw. And this is going to kind of be your podcast that would normally be the Winged Eagle that we do every Saturday afternoon. But instead, we are here to talk about WWE Backlash. Now, let me live up to my promise. Cruise here to the chat. Keep the microphone in front of my face so you guys can hear me as I do this. Let's go all the way to the top. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do shout-outs for everybody, but I at least want to try to hit the channel members. Mab, Zane G, Vash Starwind, and Zach. Good to see you guys in here. What is up? Chris Miner in the house, member for 8 months. 8 Ball should have attacked Savio from their feud. Was 8 Ball there? What about the other one, the other bald one? And Chains, right? Brian Lee was Chains. I forgot. Yeah, Bariquas and DOA back in the day, man. JJ Leg, look at there. The OG JJ agrees with me. I think I said 8.5 just a little while ago, didn't I? I'd have to give this show about an 8.5 at least. No lower than that, maybe not any higher. Mike Dre is in the house as well. Thank you, channel members, as well as Stone Cold 10X. We got Ken Webb. Victor Colon is here. We got Chris Barrera chiming in. Kayfabe brother of 8 months. Great show. Carlito showing up was the highlight of the night for me. What a pop. Jesus, man. I mean, from this day forward, the Road Warrior pop no longer exists, guys. It's the Carlito pop from now on. Consider yourself informed. Carlito pop. That's what we call it from now on, starting today. Make a note. Make a note. I'm telling you. Who else we got? Chris, I got you. I'll try to hit some of these other ones, even though they're not all channel members. Ratnick, Riley Brock, Shell Shock, Painful Life, Ben Espinoza, Nicola, Green P, Gornison, 7 out of 10. Okay. 7th ZN, 7th SZN. I always get that one wrong. Juliet and Deshaun, more channel members in the house, as well as Bo Klavlovic. Great show tonight. Looking forward to the review. We're trying to get there, Bo. We're trying. Victor Galone, thank you so much, brother, for that $5. I think the main event between Brock and Cody ended fast because boxing and UFC is on right now, and the boxing main event was starting. Could be. I guess you don't really know when those matches are actually going to start because it depends on, the undercard and stuff. So maybe that's why, but I don't know if there's probably been so many other situations though that WWE has found themselves in over the years where their pay-per-view is ending at the same time of a boxing fight, UFC, NBA playoffs, World Series, something. I mean, I don't know if they're really worrying too much about that stuff. I'd be more willing to believe that if the show ended quickly, it's because of Brock's blood more than anything else. But it ended at about 5 past the hour, which gave us a nice round 3-hour number for that pay-per-view. So that might have been what they were going for, unless they had 3.5 hours allotted and they just finished up 25 minutes early for whatever reason. Did feel like the Cody and Brock match could have ended early, but I would think it might because of Brock's blood. You know what I mean? The Juliet, thanks. Nice WCW sign, Greg. I got to do some organizing with my shelf. This thing showed up yesterday. This thing also lights up just like the WWE one. But if I light them up in the background here, they're way too bright. So I've got to buy a dimmer for them or just leave them the way they are. But I got to reconfigure that shelf. That whole shelf behind me has remained unchanged ever since I put this studio together. And you can look at every single stream over the last 2 years, and nothing behind me is any different. So it's good to kind of change that up a little bit. I'm going to add some stuff to it, tweak it up a little bit, and you guys will be able to recognize some of that stuff a little better here soon. But it was finally nice to get that. I ordered it the day after I got the WWF sign. The website is Stash Pages, by the way. And I guess the owner of the site, he's on Twitter, and he saw my tweet, and he let me know that WCW signs are going to be available soon, or more of them, because they were sold out. And as soon as they were, I bought one, and it took about 3 months to get it, but I don't care. As long as it comes, I don't care when it comes. And it was worth it. The thing is pretty badass. So check out Stash Pages if you are interested in something like that. This is not a paid promotion, by the way. Richard Wells, good to see you as well. FRGN, good to see you, my friend. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Sounds like you did. We got Deshaun Robinson chiming in with $10. Thank you, my friend, so much. Sorry, UK, but Puerto Rico has won the award for Crowd of the Year, 10 out of 10. Every match delivered. By the way, I called Carlito returning tonight and the crowd. Wow. Yeah, I was kind of hoping he would, because Carlito has made a couple of appearances, right? I know he did the Hall of Fame, and I think he came back to TV once as well, right? And maybe for one of those Raw retro shows or some shit. And then this, but I've never really truly believed that Carlito was going to ever re-sign with the company, because I don't think he puts up with any bullshit, and he's not going to sign with them unless it absolutely benefits him, because otherwise I think we would have seen him back already for more than just a stint or an appearance or something like that. So his appearance tonight, I would probably guess as a one-off, but you never know. He looked great. He looked jacked, looked about as big as me. I mean, huge. He's huge, like Banyan. And maybe that's enough, and the crowd reaction for Triple H to say, hey, kid, you want to maybe talk about coming back? I don't know, man. You were a pretty fucking asshole to me when I was there 15 years ago. I don't know. So I have no idea what Carlito's relationship is with WWE, but he has made a few appearances, and it's always great to see him. And when his music hit tonight, oh, my God. Oh, my God, that crowd. I want to go back and watch the show again just to see the crowd reactions, because they were phenomenal. Phenomenal. All night long. Thanks again, Deshaun. George Morris is in the house. Thank you, brother, for the $5. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? And how is Tito? Backlash, 0 out of 10. What the hell is wrong with you, man? I just upgraded to the Samsung Galaxy Ultra, 256 gig of storage, paying monthly. I think mine's 256 gig on my Apple, but I can't believe you're going to do Puerto Rico like that, George. 0 out of 10? Are you kidding? This guy's insane, man. Tito is doing great. He also thinks you're crazy, George. He says, Tito just said, he goes, 0 out of 10? Get the fuck out of here. We're going to have to give it at least 8. Let's change George Morris's comment. See where it says 0 there? Just change it to the word 8. It now says 8. Mental note. And just ignore that whole 0 thing. George, good to see you as always. Who else is here? Isaac, another channel member in the house. T85 backup. We got Stephen Harris. We got a whole bunch of people in here. Anyway, I need to stop flapping my gums so we can start talking about the actual show, because the show was good. I apologize for a few things that I might not know about, because I did not see any of SmackDown last night at all. I have had such a busy couple of days, and I'm right in the middle of a busy weekend. Even tomorrow is fucking nuts. That's why the watch along is 30 minutes later. I worked all damn day today just to get home right in time for the main card to start. I've been tired. I need a shower. I got crusty shit. I got boogers. I'm a mess. So I am a little bit out of the loop on anything that we might have learned today in terms of wrestling news or any sort of bombshells going on that I'm not aware of, or any plans for Raw or what we might have seen last night on SmackDown. Completely unaware of any of that. I did not see the firm deletion either. Apparently that was pretty good on Rampage. So there's a whole bunch of stuff I need to catch up on. So if you guys have any tasty nuggets for me in the comments, please let me know. But let's start with the pay-per-view and start running down these results. Tonight, of course, Backlash was from San Juan, Puerto Rico, right? I think they were in San Juan because it was a San Juan street fight between Bad Bunny and Damien Priest. And I really loved the intro. And the first thing I noticed about the intro is they were flying a drone into the building. And I said on Twitter, I'm like, is this the first ever drone entrance? And right off the bat, somebody said, no, they did that last night on SmackDown. So apparently they were in the same building, right? And I'm sure the crowd was jacked for that as well. And apparently they did the drone thing last night, but it's the first time I've seen it. And it's a pretty cool effect, seeing that thing fly in and go over the crowd. I mean, when I used to go to shows back in the 90s, you had the Karate Fighters blimp. I like the drone a lot better, but sooner or later, if they keep flying that thing around, it's going to crash into the face of a wrestling fan and fuck his shit all up. You watch, it's going to happen. But the intro with the drone was very cool, and you could tell right off the bat, the crowd was here to play. And I loved it. I just loved their energy right off the bat. And it was so nice to see the pay-per-view set without that obnoxious screen, that obnoxious stage, all that obnoxious shit. It was just more, I really liked the setup stage. It was a smaller screen with kind of a wall on the side where the entrance was, a little skinnier, narrower type of setup, almost looked like something they would do at a live event. And I really like that because we need a change of pace. You know, I miss the big swinging hooks that Backlash used to have, but you know, at least this is something that gave the show a unique feel, because outside of the big four, the Rumbles, the SummerSlams, the Manias, I think just the big three, I guess, you don't really see unique sets at all unless you're doing a Saudi show or a Crown Jewel or something stupid like that. So really nice just to see a change of pace to give the show in the event a different vibe, because WWE does not often venture down to Puerto Rico, and they should be going there a lot. I would vote for at least one set of TVs and one pay-per-view there per year, maybe more, because it's awesome. Chuck a SummerSlam down there. Do they have a building big enough for a SummerSlam or something that can, you know, put 40 or 50K? Whew. Imagine that energy. Holy shit. But the show opened up, unsurprisingly, I think we even mentioned this in the predictions the other day, that the show is going to have to open up with one of the women's matches, because we have both women's titles on the line here on a match card that is only, 7 matches long? So you knew one of them was going to have to open. It was Bianca Belair and Io Sky, and the crowd was very, very pro Io right off the bat. But then when Bianca came out there, they were very pro Bianca as well. So right off the bat, during the entrances, the fans were chanting EO, and they were just, you know, it was just brewing in the building, and you could feel it. Same thing with the introductions, just the energy. I know it's a cliche, but Gorilla made it famous, cut it with a knife. You could really do that. You could literally kind of feel, I think being in the arena and just feeling that energy had to have been something. If anybody was at the show, please let us know in the chat how it was live, because on TV, it was spectacular. And I've been to enough shows to know that a lot of times, if it feels loud in the arena, it's not so loud at home all the time. So if we can notice it here at home, imagine how jacked it must have been actually being there. Whew, my God. So Bianca and Io had an absolutely amazingly fun match. They gave them time. They were all over the place. It felt like Io was a contender, and that's what's sad. Io should already be treated like a contender. This is a match that Io, Sky, and Bianca should have had multiple times already, where Io is a legitimate threat to take the title. But outside of the Puerto Rican audience, I didn't feel like at all Io Sky had a prayer of beating Bianca Belair. Not after the run Bianca has had to end it here. Granted, the crowd would have reacted pretty amazing if it happened, but they would have been cheering for a heel, and Bianca's a face, and she's held the title for all this time. Just to take it off of her now, right when it feels like we're on the cusp, at least hopefully, of Triple H introducing some new championship belts to your women's champions and whatnot, I feel like there's no way you would take the belt off of Bianca Belair here, because she should be the one to receive that new championship if something like this indeed happens, which we have heard rumors of. So, like I said, the match was awesome. Io Sky with her moves, hit a moonsault at one point, crowd popped for that. Damage Control, the rest of Damage Control did show up. Bailey and Dakota Kai come out there to try to interfere, and I guess Bianca is down, and Io Sky is going to go for her moonsault. And Bayley is holding Bianca's braid down like under the apron, so she can't move. Referee sees it, makes Bayley stop, and then I think Io then misses the moonsault that allows Bianca to roll out of the way. She misses the moonsault. Bianca's able to pick her right up for the KOD for the win and retains the title in a match that was a great, great way to start off the card, because if the fans were reacting like this to this match, and granted, a lot of times you'll see crowds hot at first and they cool off, but even in the first match, it just didn't feel like they were going to do that. It just felt like they were really, really there to have fun, and I felt like the crowd energy would hold if they had that much energy for a match like Bianca Belair and Io Sky. So in the end, Bianca retains the title. She'll go on now to do whatever at Night of Champions. And like I said, I hope there's a new belt in her future, because the last thing I want to see is one of those infuriatingly and excruciatingly stupid belt swapping ceremonies. Those are the dumbest thing that WWE has ever done, and I'm fucking sick of those. So get new belts in there or whatever, but don't do this trade my red one for your blue one shit, because it's a joke. It's a disgrace to your champions and your championship histories and your lineages and all that stuff. Knock it off, WWE. After that, Omos versus Seth Rollins. Now, this was the only match on the card that I got wrong in my predictions. I just felt like they should put Omos over here. That's what I would do if I was in the driver's seat. But a Seth victory isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. All it's going to do is not really do any favors for Omos, and a lot of fans don't care about Omos, so they don't care about that. I like Omos. The more interviews I see him in, the more I just want good for him. I want good things to come to him. You know, he might not be everybody's cup of tea in the ring, but what 7'5" fuckers are? You know, show me somebody of that size, of Baba's size, who can go in there and wrestle like Eddie Guerrero. They don't exist. So these are the types of this mobility is going to be pretty standard for a lot of these giants. So I'm not really holding that against him. I think even Omos at 7'4" and whatever the fuck pounds he is still a hell of a lot more capable and athletic than some of the fans that sit on their ass and bitch about everything. So I think Omos could have won here, and it would have been fine because it would have given you mileage. Seth Rollins is already over. Like, Rover dude's high as fuck. He can't be elevated anymore. He's about as high as you can get. You know, you can just taste it that he's going to be the guy to win that World Heavyweight title. So if that's the plan for him, having Omos win with MVP doing some shady shit on the outside is hardly a burial and hardly anything that would damage Seth in the slightest. It would be a victory. It would be a loss you'd forget all about in about 3 weeks when he goes to Night of Champions and becomes the first ever world champion, at which time you can run back a match with Omos, and the match we saw tonight can be a title defense for Seth Rollins. That's what I would have done. And then when it's Omos and Seth, the rematch, after Omos put Seth down here, now Seth has got the championship. You do this match later on in the summer, or even on TV or something, and it's a whole different ballgame now. Now it's for the championship. And the match you did tonight, you just recreate that. Omos is kicking out of stomps. Seth Rollins is freaking out. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my championship. And then finally, he hits him with that top rope one, retains his title. See? And you stretch it. You get more for your money, more bang for your buck. And that's why I would have put Omos over here, so you can bring it back. But now Seth Rollins just flat out beat Omos. One could make the argument that the reason they did this is to give Seth the ultimate momentum going into the World Heavyweight Championship tournament. And if you are going to put the belt on Seth first, he should have all the momentum going into that. Fair enough. Like I said, you don't have to die on every hill. I can see that argument, but I can also see how my way would have worked. So either way, Omos took the loss here in a pretty good match, probably the best match that Omos is capable of having. It was just fun to see him in there with someone like Seth, who's got so much experience and can really do his best to make the match good. And Omos was very dominant. He was kicking out at one a lot, kicking out of a frog splash at one. He kicked out of two stomps. And then finally, Seth was able to get Omos down. I forgot how he kind of got him crouched over, but he went to the top rope and jumped off the top rope and hit Omos with the stomp. And to Omos's credit, it didn't look terrible. Didn't look great, but it didn't look bad. And that, to me, was a plus. So way to go, Omos. Way to go, Seth. Not a bad match at all. And in the end of the day, even though I predicted it wrong, I'm not upset about it. I still would have done it differently. I still think Omos would have been the way to go here, but nothing was really ruined with Seth winning other than, you've just probably shortened, the amount of credibility Omos has even more instead of stretching it out a few months. But whatever. Like I said, it's only a matter of time before Omos is dancing around like the great Khali. It's going to happen. It is. And Seth gets the win there, and we'll see now with that win, maybe they're also using that as a way to automatically qualify Seth for these triple threat matches. Is that what's going on here? Is that what I heard? There's going to be a couple of triple threat matches, and then the winner of those triple threat matches face each other. So it's going to be one Raw guy, one SmackDown guy after they have their respective triple threat matches. Can't remember if it's one triple threat or two. It must be two. There's got to be 6 guys on each show in this, right? So it's probably two triple threats on Raw with the winners facing, and that winner goes on to Night of Champions. That's probably the way it is without me knowing anything about it. That's how I would guess they would do it, but I don't know. You guys have to fill me in over here. Imagine having a Mania in Puerto Rico. Holy shit. Yo, I want to thank Melvin Rivera for that $5, dude. Appreciate that. Hi, Greg. Directly from the traffic jam, exiting the venue in Puerto Rico from Backlash. Awesome show. You were the one I was trying to talk to, Melvin. I was like, if anybody was in the chat, or if anybody in the chat was at the show, please let us know how it was in person, because on TV, it came off so incredible, which means it must have been even 10 times crazier in the arena, because a lot of times that doesn't translate to TV, but it did tonight, man. Melvin, I'm glad you had a good time. That is so awesome. Thank you for chiming in, my friend. All right, where were we? Next match after Omos and Seth was the United States Championship triple threat match. Again, in my predictions, I said flat out, I didn't believe any champion was going to be dropping their belts here tonight. Just nothing felt right at all. And you could rule out Bronson Reed because he's a Raw guy. And if they had a Raw guy win the fucking U.S. title right after this draft, I swear to God, I wouldn't have been able to compose myself. So he was ruled out. And I just didn't see it being Lashley either, because he's already had a long run with the U.S. title. Why put it back on him and have him win here in a triple threat after Theory beats Cena? I would just save Theory's U.S. title loss for another time, not here. So I really didn't feel like this was a legit, there was any legit chance, I should say, that Theory would drop his US belt. But it was still okay, not bad. I like Bronson Reed a lot. I hated that he had to be in there to take the pin, but you kind of had a feeling that's what he was there to do. If you're not going to beat Theory, and you're sure as shit not going to beat Lashley, at least I hope not. So Reed was going to be the guy. One pretty funny spot in the match, Lashley, goes for the Hurt Lock, and he's got it on Theory. And Theory goes to push off for like the Brett move, the Brett pin on Roddy at WrestleMania 8 and Stone Cold Survivor Series 96, how he kind of rolls back on the sleeper and pins him. And I even think, didn't Lashley and Brock do a similar finish in Saudi Arabia? Didn't they try this? Who was it? Was it Brock and Lashley? I feel like this finish was tried in a big match in the last year or so. And Theory attempted it on Lashley, although instead of pushing off the buckle, he pushed off the top rope, but he fell backwards on Lashley, and it looked like shit. God, it looked so bad. Bronson Reed at one point in the match went for a moonsault. Never seen him do that before. That was pretty awesome. We get a big, for the finish, the only critique I would have about this finish is that it's your typical triple threat finish. We've seen a lot of finishes like this, and it was executed well. It was executed really well, actually, so I should give them credit for that. You get a big splash from Bronson Reed onto Bobby Lashley. Austin Theory then makes the save on that, and then Theory winds up getting speared by Bronson Reed, gets speared by Bobby Lashley hard, and after missing the moonsault. So that's what it was. It was Reed going for the moonsault and then missing. I think he went for the moonsault on Theory. Theory moves. He misses the moonsault, gets up, boom, gets speared by Lashley, and that's when Theory grabs Lashley, disposes of him, throws him out of the ring, jumps on Bronson Reed to get the pin. So that's a finish in triple threats where we've seen somebody, the heel, usually take advantage of somebody else's finisher, chuck him out of the ring, and then pin. I feel like that's the finish they did with Lesnar, Rollins, and Cena. right? That Rumble that one year, I feel like that was kind of the finish with Seth winning and retaining his title. And there's been a lot of others as well. But overall, it wasn't a bad match, but it was probably the most forgettable of everything on the card, and the crowd was still into that too. So good for Theory for retaining, and he'll move on. Who knows who he's going to wind up dropping that title to and when. I think SummerSlam might be fun, though. Maybe recreate some sort of a honky tonk man moment from SummerSlam 1988, like the very first one, because it'll be, will it be the 35-year anniversary of that? I think it is this year. So if you could bring somebody back who's been out, like a Randy Orton would be perfect, a Big E would be perfect, you know, because Theory could do something similar to Honky. You know, Honky's, I'm the greatest of all time. I'll take on anybody. I don't give a shit or whatever. You know, Theory's the same way. He's cocky. I don't think he's really bad, but he's still cocky. And I could totally see him getting on the mic at SummerSlam and be like, look, I still have this title. I have faced Lashley. I have faced Bronson Reed. I faced Cena. I've faced Rollins. There's nobody in this company that I have not beaten for this championship. And then I hear voices or somebody's music who's just been out. You bring him back, nail him, catches him off guard. And kind of like when Becky came back and beat Bianca Belair at SummerSlam, although you do, you know, instead of Bianca, the babyface, going down like that, this happens to Theory, a cocky, douchey heel. It would be awesome if they brought somebody back in for that. But we will see when or what the plans are for Theory down the road. Up next was our second women's championship match of the night. Rhea Ripley defending her SmackDown women's title against Zelena Vega. This was not going to be much of a match. I really wasn't expecting it to be. I knew Rhea was going to win. There was no fucking way in the world that Zelena Vega was going to beat Rhea Ripley for the title. This was about giving Zelena Vega this moment in front of this crowd. That's it. That's all it is. And, you know, Zelena's life's been well documented, you know, with the loss of her father and the 9/11 attacks, and having her family there at ringside was just a special moment for her, I think. And of course, the crowd ate it up because she came out there, you know, with the flag and the outfit, and she just soaked it in. They were chanting their balls off for her, and it was really overwhelming her emotionally, you could tell. But that's all it was. And it was a nice feel-good moment. I don't know why I have this like really weird, irrational feeling about Zelena. It's not like I don't like Zelena Vega, but I just care very little about her. And I don't know why. I fully admit that I'm probably being an asshole here. I don't really even know why. I don't even have a real good reason to not like her, but I just don't really care much about what she's ever doing on TV. Now, her role in the LWO, I think, might be her best role yet outside of the Andrade stuff. The Andrade stuff was fantastic, but I've never really taken her seriously as a wrestler, you know? And then when she's in there with somebody like Rhea Ripley, who is just at the top of her game and can beat dudes up, I'm not really thinking that Zelena is really that, number one, worthy or credible of a challenger for Rhea Ripley. So it was just all about the moment. But sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes it's just about a moment. And for her to have that, you know, overwhelming feeling, that love from the crowd, her family there, she's never gotten to have that. Girls never had a WrestleMania moment or any sort of big win or any, you know, great moment in NXT where she's been given flowers. She's never gotten her flowers before. So this was her chance to have that. Even though it was going to be a match that she was going to get murdered in, she still had the love. And that was what made it. And that's what made this match important, because otherwise you would just do this shit on Raw, because this is not a pay-per-view worthy match. When you think about some of the other feuds, angles, and wrestlers who are not booked for the show, to put this match on the show was clearly just done for the audience and for Zelena. And that's why it's okay. And plus it was worth it because Zelena looked like $1 million. Crowd loved it, ate it up, like I said, and it created the moment for her. And at the end of the day, that's good. But the match, come on. Rhea Ripley coming out there looking like, if Zelena looked like $1 million, Rhea looked like $1 trillion. She's coming out there all in white. She's huge. She's awesome. She's the best. And we go through the introductions. And that's another part of the match I liked, was during the introductions, just Zelena's face. You could just see, you know, just kind of clenching back the tears. She's still got a job to do. You like to see that. It's heartwarming. So I loved all of that. But then eventually the bell is going to have to ring. The bell did ring, and Zelena got her bell rung. It was a little bit of offense from her. She did put up a little bit of a fight. It wasn't like it was a squash or anything, but once Rhea got her bearings straight, she was able to grab a hold of Zelena and put her down with a gnarly riptide with authority. No chance of Zelena kicking out. That was it. Rhea Ripley retains. No surprise there whatsoever. And as Rhea leaves, pretty cool on Rhea to get the hell out of there right away, allow Zelena just to be in there and to get that loving, farewell from the crowd as she kind of got the in the ring clap, good effort, good job, we love you, awesome, we're happy for you. And she got that. So in terms of doing that for Zelena Vega, what was it that she missed out on before? I forgot what it was. There was some show recently she was booked for. She had special gear made. It's coming back to me. They bumped her. Maybe it was Raw. Was it the Raw anniversary, Raw Triple X? That might have been it, actually. Might have been the Raw Triple X. Whatever that show was, she was trending a lot because a lot of people were like, how the fuck could you do that to her? So if WWE has screwed her over in the past, in one of those moments, I can't remember which one it was, hopefully this made up for it because all of that was really, really nice. And then it was time for one half of our double main event. They did attach the main event moniker here to this match. There was a lot of debate online up until Showtime and probably existing right now about Bad Bunny and Damien Priest if it should main event. And I said earlier on in the week, hell yeah, sure. It can main event. I have no problem with that. But that doesn't mean I believe it should, and it's the only way to do it. If they want to have Cody and Brock main event, fine. Here's a hot take on the Backlash main event. It doesn't fucking matter. Have a main event, don't. I don't know. I don't care. And I mean, I know it's great. I know you shouldn't blow it off, like that, but because main events are important. They are. But you can still, this crowd was just so ready for anything. I don't think the match placement was going to have any sort of effect on how fans felt about it afterward. If it went on last, great. If not, great. I just think it's going to be a blast. I think it's going to be fun. And putting it on the undercard, you can't necessarily blame them for that. Keeping your stars the focal point. Yes, Bad Bunny is a huge star. He brings in a bunch of press and publicity for them. Plus, it's in Puerto Rico, the response and just everything about this, you can definitely make an argument for it being in the main event. But I think it's crazy. It's almost like we're in the Twilight Zone that we actually live in a wrestling universe where there are a lot, maybe not you guys, maybe not me, but there are a lot of fans legitimately pissed, mad, angry that a celebrity didn't get the main event spot over an entire roster of, contracted full-time stars. What the fuck is going on? I just think that's really ironic and funny because these same fans complaining about this shit would have had the opposite opinion, maybe 10 years ago or even less. So I'm fine. I think what the two guys did here in this match and the build surrounding it, knowing both guys being from Puerto Rico and growing up in the same town and all that stuff, the amount of crowd response that was going to get, it's like the Hogan and Rock thing from WrestleMania. Because of that, you definitely have to think about sticking that match on last. But I don't think anybody believes Hogan and Rock match suffered any because it was not in the main event. It was still extremely memorable, and it's one of the most talked about WrestleMania matches ever, still to this day, 21 years later, and it was not the main event. So that's why I'm not freaking out if it doesn't go the way I think it should go. So if you're of the opinion that Bunny and Damien Priest should main event the show, and then it didn't, and it has ruined the experience for you, then you have got some deep personal problems. That's all I'm going to tell you. I just believe in a situation like this, stick it on last, don't, whatever. What the fuck? Why do we care so much? What I cared about is that these guys went out there and had a fun match, and they did. Oh my God. San Juan Street Fight is what we got. Damien Priest, I believe, was out first. Matching Rhea Ripley, kind of wearing some white gear, which looked really good. He was wearing a vest that commentary mentioned he wore when he teamed up with Bad Bunny, I think at WrestleMania is what they said about that. So he's got a little callback to their previous relationship. And despite him being the heel, he got a fairly warmish welcome from the crowd. Not too great, but it wasn't all booze. But then Bad Bunny came out, and oh my God, he was just welcomed like a king. No pun intended. I think they had that fucking coronation today. You know what? If Charles didn't beat Haku, I don't give a shit about your coronation. That's all I'm going to say. And San Juan welcomed Bad Bunny in. It was just an amazing Stone Cold Steve Austin rock level pop and crowd reaction that you just don't see in modern times. You know, and just we here in the 48 up here, we don't know what we're doing. You know, it's like Corpus Christi, they were not. That's for sure. That's all I'll say. And when you can just see just the energy and the cheers and the loudness when Bad Bunny was coming out, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. They're gonna react to every punch, every kick, everything these guys do. This crowd is ready for. So I was ready to get to it. I'm like, let's get through these entrances and let's get fighting. The fight starts in the ring. It's Bunny holds his own for a few minutes there, but then it's all Priest, and he takes over pretty quickly, and he puts Bad Bunny down within the first few minutes with a huge choke slam, and he just folds him right up, and I'm like, holy shit, the match is over, but Priest lifts Bad Bunny up. Big mistake. You knew that was going to be a big mistake because Bunny was able to fight back. And like I said, he's got the guts of a Jeff Hardy, but he doesn't have it, you know, with the coordination so much. He reminds me a little bit of Vince, how he can kind of look like he's got noodle arms and legs, and he kind of just crumples on everything that he does. He kind of has a little bit of that in him, but he makes it entertaining. And like I said, he puts it all out there. It's not like he's completely clueless and doesn't know what he's doing, and he's certainly not going through the motions. This guy's diving over top ropes and stuff, so he's going all out. And Bunny is able to fight back. He's delivering some pretty good-looking offense. His punches are okay, and he's taking down Priest a little bit, and Priest is selling his nuts off for everything. Props to Damien Priest for doing his damnedest to make Bunny look like $1 million. He did. Really crazy to see after he does a top rope dive after he fights back. I think he climbs to the top, dives off on Damien Priest onto the floor. And then, if that wasn't crazy enough, he recovers pretty quickly from that and delivers a Michinoku driver to Damien Priest. Little Bad Bunny picking up this giant Damien Priest and executing a move like that for an untrained wrestler, a goddamn celebrity, hitting a fucking driver on Damien Priest on a guy twice his size. Crazy, man. Priest helped out a little bit there, but still a good move and a difficult move to execute if you're somebody like Bad Bunny. They wind up brawling into the fans finally because up until this point, most of the stuff had been in the ring. They're now into the audience and into the production area where brawls usually end up, and they wind up standing on top of one of those production crates. And this time we get another Michinoku driver, but this time it's from Priest delivered to Bad Bunny, and they've got a table crash pad-ish looking thing there, and he drivers Bunny right through that. Pretty sick bump. A lot of officials, referees, Adam Pearce come out to check on Bad Bunny after that, and he's got those crazy eyes. He's kind of selling a little bit like Vince after the stunner. He definitely looks not all with it. But he survives. He refuses to give up. I think the officials might be trying to convince him to stop, and he crawls out of there and starts crawling back towards the ring. And they find themselves back in there again. And I don't remember what Priest was going for, if it was a kick or something, but he tweaked his knee and he goes down like hyperextension, goes down in the corner. And that's when Bad Bunny is able to take control again. And he starts just smashing Priest, and he gets him down, and he's got a chair, and Priest is down with his knee. And Bunny can finish him off, but he kind of hesitates. He hesitates to hit Priest with the chair for whatever reason. Maybe just remembering that they were once homies and now they're fighting each other, or whatever the hesitation was. It was enough to allow Priest the opportunity to kick the chair away. And I think right before Priest is about to take control there after kicking the chair away, he gets low blowed by Bad Bunny, which brings out Dominic and Finn Balor. So Finn and Dominic get in the ring. They attack Bad Bunny, and it doesn't take long for I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. And out comes Carlito. You would have thought Jesus came back. I mean, holy shit. The pop. I don't know how there's a ceiling on this building anymore. That's for sure, because you just don't hear pops like that in modern times. I heard them when I was young. I heard them in the Attitude Era. They were relatively frequent. they ain't frequent now. And so when you see those, it's like, holy shit. But again, you got to remember it's your audience. Carlito would not get this response in Minneapolis, So it's about, where you are, knowing your audience, creating those moments for them that's going to create the most and give them the most to cheer for. And I wish they would do that with every city they're in, even here in the States as well. Because a lot of times they seem to fuck with and troll the hometown audience, up here, So I'm glad that Puerto Rico was able to be given some respect, from WWE, where they're not just shitting, trolling, and pissing their fans off, because that's what they do to us a lot of times. So Carlito coming out, my God, the pop, he's in the ring. Like I said, he's jacked. And then Savio Vega comes out. Savio's music hits. We saw him earlier on, by the way. There was a backstage segment where Rey Mysterio and Savio were talking with Bad Bunny. I think Savio gave him like a red, white, and blue kendo stick or something. So we already saw Savio earlier on in the night, but when his music hit and he came out, that was awesome to see. Savio was one of the first wrestlers. I guess he wasn't the first, but he was probably the fourth or fifth wrestler ever that I met in person, and he was great. Savio also brought out the LWO with him, so like we talked about in our predictions, we were going to get a lot of help for Bad Bunny. There was no way this was going to be a straight mano-a-mano fight with Bunny and Priest, and Bunny's going to beat him. That's not happening, so it's going to be Judgment Day. It's going to be LWO, and it's hopefully going to be someone like a Savio Vega or Carlito, and it was, and we got all of that. So the fan reactions were great. They were going nuts for all of the surprises all the way up until that point, and then when the LWO hits the ring, do they come to the ring or not? Where I lost my place in line here. Okay, so I think everybody just kind of powders out. I think the LWO, that's right, the LWO come in to kind of box in Judgment Day. So Rey and Balor don't really have, Dominic and Balor don't really have anywhere to go. They can't get in the ring and help Damien Priest. So he's in there all by himself now. He goes to kick Bad Bunny and his leg gives out and he goes down, and Bad Bunny hooks him in the figure four. And I thought for sure that was going to be the finish. I thought Priest was actually going to tap out to the figure four. I thought that might be kind of funny, but Priest was able to survive that. Bad Bunny's got this version of the acid drop, the Dudley dog or whatever it is, where he runs up on the ropes on the turnbuckle and bulldogs the dude. And when Bunny executed that one on Damien, he kind of crumpled and fell very awkwardly to where another inch or so rotation might have been a little bit worse for Bad Bunny. So he's got to be careful in there. Bunny then gets a chair and this time does not hesitate, just starts wailing on Priest with the chair and then sets up Priest for the Bunny Destroyer, which Priest really helps get over. Bunny Destroyer for the win. And with all of that outside interference, with Judgment Day just flat out being outmanned, it was Balor and Dominic against, Savio and Carlito and the LWO. What could they do, And that left Damien Priest with the injured knee at the mercy of Bad Bunny, who hits him with the Destroyer and wins. I thought the booking of this was perfect. Perfect. If you're going to have a star lose to a celebrity, you have to add as much crazy shit in there as you can. Look what happened to Johnny Knoxville and Sami Zayn at WrestleMania last year. That all that shit, all the members of Jackass and fucking giant mouse traps and all sorts of shit in there to get the job done. This was, just the same thing, only a lot less silly. And you had some legends come back, and it was just an exciting match and roller coaster ride for the fans. And it was a way to beat Damien Priest without really beating him. Now he can go out. He's great on the mic. He can go out on Raw on Monday, but it's fucking bullshit. It's Savio Vega and all these assholes coming out there. Bad Bunny, I had you beat in the first 3 minutes of the match, and I lifted you up because I wanted to beat you even more, and then you just brought all your friends out there and you cheated and you beat me. He's got his out. He's got his excuse, and he's somebody that won't really be affected by a loss like this. This was actually, even though, it wasn't last, they did consider it a double main event. This was a main event for him in Puerto Rico. So he has that. He can tell himself that. And he'll always have that. He'll always have Paris. But I thought everything they did to put the match together and how you can get Bunny the victory without doing any damage to anybody was really, really well done. And we had all that extracurricular that was so fun. And then Bunny, of course, as always, as every single time he showed up to do anything in WWE, he has given his all, 100%, and just laid it all out here. Laid it all out there. This is a guy that's got a very busy life, probably has concerts and appearances out the ass scheduled from here to hell and gone. One broken leg, one broken ankle, one broken neck can jeopardize all of that. And, he's just going out there and acting like he's got nothing to lose. You got to respect that. I've still to this day have never heard a single Bad Bunny song. Never heard one. I mean, I might have heard one by accident, but I've never looked one up and listened to it. But I love the guy. I have like the utmost respect for him. I can't even think of a time where I've loved a recording artist and I've never heard their song before. But Bad Bunny's awesome. He came into my world and he did not overstay his welcome. And every time he's turned up, it's been pretty fun. And it seems like a partnership that is really working out for both. He seems to really genuinely enjoy doing this. And then WWE gets the rub from him and all of his fame. Might be the equivalent of like a Mr. Beast just decided to get in the ring, start doing shit. Only he was good and he could actually wrestle or something. So just the reach and the publicity, we've seen it with Logan Paul. We've seen it with Bad Bunny, and props to, I think Logan Paul is still far and away a much better wrestler than Bad Bunny. But in terms of the match excitement level that we've seen from these guys, it's been nearly equal, especially now. So good for them. Good for them. Then we have our 6-man match, the Bloodline, taking on tag team champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle. So this was the match that I thought would kind of be your cool down, your buffer. Let's take a breather after all that crazy shit to get ready for Cody and Brock. But the fans don't need that in Puerto Rico. They just don't need it. They don't need a cool down. They're fine just to keep going. So fuck that. Let's just keep having a good time. So they were just as jacked for this, maybe slightly quieter, but overall they weren't boring or they weren't acting bored at all. They were still reacting to everything that we saw here. The story on this match in the ring, excuse me, I got a tickle in my throat. Sorry. The story in this match in the ring was the dissension with Solo and the Usos, which we figured would be the case. But this one was really centered around Solo and Jay. They were beefing a lot in the match, and I kind of like Jay standing up to Solo because I didn't think either Uso should really be backing down from him as it is, and should not allow themselves to be abused like this by Heyman and Roman and Solo. So Roman's not even there. These guys are in a match together, and Solo doing these threatening things, blind tagging himself in, which Jay responded with a blind tag of his own, got in his face a little bit. And he's like, I'm your brother. He's not your brother. What the fuck? So I liked all of that. And you can tell that these guys are going to have a match. I mean, at some point when the bloodline finally crumbles and all of this crap comes to an end, Solo and Jay can have some matches and Jay can hang. Jay gave Roman a run for his money when all this crap started a couple of years ago. So if Solo and Jay have a match, it's hardly going to be a squash, and Jay can stand up to him, I think, just fine. And I think when Jay inevitably is a babyface wrestler again and he goes in a match with Solo, he might very well beat him, get himself a title shot against Roman Reigns. I wouldn't mind at all Jey Uso versus Roman at Money in the Bank in London. Something like that would be fun. Sami Zayn getting a rematch would be fun. Anything like that would be fun for London. But in terms of this match, I was starting to get ready for the stream here, so kind of had one eye on it. I was watching the Solo and Jay stuff. At the end of the day, I picked the Bloodline to win. I was right. Samoan Spike right to Riddle for the win, and a lot of looks between Jay and Solo after the match. And that is going to come to a head real soon. It makes you wonder how long you think they can stretch this out, because it feels like it's reaching boiling point at where it is already. I mean, at some point, Jay is going to have to say, all right, enough of this shit. I'm sick of you stringing us along and making us unsure of ourselves and kind of half-ass threatening us and all of that. I want answers. I want to talk to Roman and get to the bottom of it, and then you either split or you don't or whatever. But I feel like this story is ready for its next thing to happen, So I feel like it's coming. It's coming soon. Just don't know if it's coming before or after Night of Champions, or what Roman is even going to be doing on the show. My whole idea for Roman versus Omos is out the window now since Omos lost. But I think if Roman is going to have any sort of title defense at Night of Champions, it needs to be against someone, and it doesn't have to be this way. I just think it would be better. Needs to be against someone that nobody really truly believes is going to take the belt off of him. I think that's the case with all of his matches now, but I feel like somebody for Roman to beat in the undercard is all you need to do there. That way the World Heavyweight Championship can be the main event and it kind of be the focal point and shine. Unless they try to do something with Roman Reigns winning the World Heavyweight title. They teased on Raw last Monday with Rollins and Heyman. Maybe Roman tries to get into this tournament, but I would hate for Roman to go into that tournament on SmackDown and actually make it to the finals. That they just can't do that. And if they were doing that for the purposes of having Roman lose, don't make his first loss be there when he's actually challenging for a title. Then you've got the loss on him, but he still remains champion. What a way to ruin it, So I hope that whatever this tease is with Roman and Rollins, it doesn't lead to anything, but they wouldn't tease it if it wasn't going to lead to anything. So I don't know what to make of it, and I ain't going to lie, I'm nervous. If they put all three of those belts on Roman, I'm moving to the North Pole. Main event time, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. You can make an argument this should have been the main event all along. Based on how the finish was, I would have been perfectly fine if they swapped these and Cody and Brock happened the match prior and you put Bunny and Priest on last. Would have worked just fine for me. But Cody and Brock is a pretty massive match. It's a match on paper you feel like has to go on last. The only thing that really put that in jeopardy is the fact that, you've got the crowd here in Puerto Rico and Bad Bunny and Damien Priest is on the card. You had a decision to make here. They went with Cody and Brock. It is what it is. We talked about it earlier. And the match was pretty good, I thought. I mean, this is the first time these guys have ever faced. And I said in the predictions video, if you think this is going to be the only match these guys are going to have, you are crazy. Because a lot of people felt like that Cody would beat Brock here and then Brock would disappear like he always does. I'm like, he's not going to disappear. Not when Night of Champions is 3 weeks away and there's a Saudi Arabia payday waiting right there for him. If he's going to fly down to Puerto Rico, he'll damn sure go to Saudi Arabia. He's been there a million times. He doesn't care. So he'll go. And then after that, if he wants to take some time off until SummerSlam, sure. But he might be around for big pay-per-views going forward. We don't know. But I at least thought we were going to get Brock until Night of Champions. Now I feel like we might get Brock beyond that because the finish here with Cody winning and how he won absolutely sets up a rematch at some point. It's just a matter of when that's going to happen. They're going to run it back right away at Night of Champions, or what are they going to do? But we'll talk about that after we talk about the match. So Cody comes out first. Brock makes his entrance, and man, Brock is just, he's been hitting the gym. I mean, he always looks huge. He just looked extra huge here. So he's coming down to the ring. Cody jumps him right off the bat, dives out of the ring, nails Brock, and takes it to Brock, puts a hurting on him early, has Brock at a huge disadvantage, but Brock is able to fight back out of that. And despite all the damage Cody did to him early on, he's still throwing Cody around and suplexing the shit out of him and all that. So it was fun to see these guys kind of work together. Cody being in there with Brock. This is big boy territory for Cody now. I mean, he's been in these big matches ever since he's been back. The match he had with Seth at WrestleMania, the fucking pictorial Hell in the Cell, then winning the Rumble in front of that stadium crowd, the amazing match he had in front of my very eyes in LA at WrestleMania. And now he's in there against the Beast, the 1-21-1, the most dominant fucking dude WWE's ever seen in their company's history. He's in there with the biggest, the best. And again, Cody, I think, rose to the occasion. He showed that he belongs here. So if Triple H needed this guy to prove himself first, or just to see how he operates, functions, and deals with main event situations, I don't know what other confirmation you're looking for here. Cody has got it. He should be that guy. They need that baby face to do the TV shows and do all that shit, he can do that. And he's proven that. So this match, him holding his own, being able to go toe-to-toe with Brock, and especially jumping him early like that, despite the fear that Cody has for him, being able to have the courage to fight him, and, in the capacity that he was all great for Cody. And it got kind of weird at the end. They may have called for an early finish here. We're not sure. But I think earlier on in the match, Brock had ripped off the turnbuckle pad. And I think it was Brock as he threw it. I'm not sure if Cody would throw it, but one of them ripped off the pad and threw it into the crowd. And somebody grabbed it. And I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. I would love to have a WWE turnbuckle pad. I'd snatch that. Sweet. What a souvenir. And then you see this wormy little fucking security guy run around to the other side and go confiscate it. I'm like, come on, WWE, you can't. If you're going to rip one of these things off and throw it into your audience, then we should be able to keep that. We should be able to keep that. You have 1 million of them. Every quarter, every 3 months, you announce record profits. Millions and millions and millions of dollars you are literally raking in. You can't spare a turnbuckle pad. You can't hook a fan up with something that cost, what, $8 to produce, in a factory? Jesus Christ, man. So they took the turnbuckle pad back as their killjoys, and they suck. And that left the turnbuckle pad exposed. So you got the steel there. Now Brock goes for an attack on Cody. Cody drops down with a drop toe hold, and Brock, the camera is right on the corner, and Brock's head just boom. It just Kevin Owens is right into the turnbuckle pad, and you could see it. And I was watching, I'm like, ooh, like the minute his head hit, you saw blood. Like it was instant. No time to blade, no nothing. I mean, Brock just took that. He Goldberged himself right into that turnbuckle exposed steel, which I'm surprised even opened him up. I didn't realize it was that sharp. I thought it was a ring. I mean, if you smack your head hard enough on anything steel, it's going to open you up. But I didn't realize Brock headbutted the thing to the degree that he did. But as soon as he hit it, you just saw his forehead kind of crinkle and just blood pouring out instantly. So he opened himself up with a pretty big gash there. Who knows how many stitches he's going to need. And he had the Crimson Mask immediately. It took no time at all, covered in blood. Cody goes right after it, hammering him with punches, opening it up even more. And Brock was probably like, fucking open it up. Like, just hit me. So I was loving that because I saw Brock communicating with Cody a little bit, and he was probably like, fucking tear me open. So Cody went after it. He's bleeding everywhere. Just great visual. And Brock, of course, has had blood on his face before. No sweat to him. He's able to fight back, get back one on Cody, lift him up, F5 him, and nearly beats him. F5 for a near fall, and Cody Rhodes kicks out. And now Brock Lesnar is back in control. He's got the blood on his face. He's feeling great. And he ends up locking in, I guess, the armbar, the Kimura lock, right, on Cody Rhodes. And he's got him in it, and, his back is on the mat, and Cody just kind of, with his feet, pushes up, and he's able to kind of get Brock into a pinning position, and 1, 2, 3, scores a quick pin. Again, it's a finish, much like the triple threat earlier that we've seen before. Guys getting caught in their finishers, getting pinned, roll-ups, or anything like that. It's kind of similar. It's an excellent way just to get out of a match, get a quick victory without resolving anything. And now these guys can live to have another match. And Cody getting the win here, getting the quick win, catching Brock off guard. Cody now in the record books beats Brock, and now you can run this back. But when do you run it back? What are they going to do here? I'm so curious. Do you think it's going to be Night of Champions and we get Cody and Brock again? Or do you think Brock is now going to be mad that Cody got this victory on him and maybe attack him on Raw on Monday? Maybe before the show. You know how they do it. Earlier today, cameras caught Cody Rhodes arriving to the building, and he shows up, and Cody's walking in, and I don't know, one of them yahoos comes up to interview him. Well, so-and-so, last night, and then before he can even get a word out, bam, Brock nails him from behind, throws him into the side of an 18-wheeler, and then runs over his carcass a few times with the car and speeds off. So Cody is rendered medically disqualified from competing in the World Heavyweight Championship triple threat matches that were going to take place either Monday or in the future or whatever. And then wouldn't it be funny if they had a triple threat match to determine Cody's replacement in the triple threat match tournament. They probably would do that and just confuse the shit out of us. It seems right up their alley. But they could do something like that with Brock and Cody. And then that kind of eliminate. And then, Adam Pearce, sends Brock out of here. He's already been sending the security at these guys as it is. And so Cody now can't compete in the triple threat matches. And then maybe Brock is sent away, so he can't even be a factor in those either. And they're both off of TV until Cody comes back next week. Brock, you stole my opportunity to be world champion. So I propose a match at Night of Champions. Maybe there's a stip involved, something like that. And that gets them both, that kind of removes them from the tournament and allows them to finish at Night of Champions. Or now with the victory, does Cody get in the tournament? And you would think Seth is going to get in the tournament as well. So these guys might be in a triple threat match together on TV as early as Monday. Who knows? And that's one thing I kind of forgot about in terms of that tournament. It's not one-on-one. So the only way to get to Cody and Seth anyway, if they were on separate brands. So this, now that I realize what they're doing, now that I say it out loud, this whole triple threat shit is to protect guys, right? Because they can't do one-on-one. Because you probably don't want to really beat Seth or Cody at this point. So yeah, now you put these guys in fucking that's how you do it. Just you have them in a triple threat. That way Cody and Seth are still in the tournament, but with a triple threat, Cody can lose and it's not going to damage him too much, especially if he's just 1 day after beating, or 2 days after beating Brock Lesnar. So after a victory like that, you stick him in a triple threat. He gets screwed. He's not involved in the finish. He's on the outside of the ring. Maybe Brock shows up. Instead of attacking him in the garage, maybe Brock shows up in the triple threat match. There's no DQs in the triple threat match, right? So if it's Cody, Seth, and somebody in the triple threat, maybe it's Cody, Seth, Owens. How fun would that be? Well, no, you don't. If you want Seth beating a heel, Cody, Seth, and like some ass bag heel. And then Brock shows up, takes out Cody, allows Seth to win and go forward. Maybe that's what they do. Lots of ways to do it, but I feel like inevitably it's going to have to be Cody and Brock again. So we're either doing that at Night of Champions or we're holding it off. But both guys are probably going to have a match at Night of Champions. So if they're not working with each other, who are they working with? I think they're probably working with each other. So that is my thoughts on Backlash. Now we have time to cruise over here to the chat. Could still use the likes. Audience has dropped off quite a bit, but we still have super chats to answer and possibly some other questions as well. If I can find my mouse to work, there we go. Start getting up here in the chat, seeing where we left off from earlier. And if you guys have any other interesting stuff to share. All right, where are we at? Zach, I must have been my Zelena comments. You're the same way towards Liv Morgan. Yeah, I actually am the same way. I like my sister, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. There's nothing about her screams like really impressive. Like I like the Biancas, I like the Rheas, I like the girls that can go. Same with the men, I want people who can go. And Liv is great. She means well. She's a sweetheart from what we understand. She deserves good things in her life, but maybe not at the expense of, wrestling credibility. I don't know, but they've given her a chance. She wasn't terrible. Hollywood Guy, thank you so much for that $5 earlier, man. I would love a Carlito run, maybe with LWO or a solo run. He needs another major championship before he retires. Yeah, I mean, maybe at this point, he's so, he's up there in age now and to the point where he's not going to have any more serious runs. If he wants to have one final one before he calls it a career and he can sign an agreement with WWE that's beneficial to him, mutually beneficial, and he might want to do it. I just am surprised we haven't seen him come back yet and stay. So we'll see if that changes in the future. Big MGM, thank you so much for the $5. Bottom line, Saudi is going to be a Bloodline member versus Rollins. That's true. Maybe that's what they're doing. Yeah, because I had a hard time. I hope you're right. I hope it's not Roman. But if it's a Bloodline member, I'm cool with that. And that would play into the story of bringing the championship to the bloodline. Like, we're just going to compensate. We're just going to take it anyway. It's only a Raw belt, and that, don't even get me started on that. That pisses me off. I've heard the arguments on the other side of this, but I think it's ridiculous that you made a big deal about this belt being a Raw exclusive belt, and then you're going to have SmackDown guys in it. Now, at the end of the day, it's not a big deal because the matches take place on their own show, and when they compete for this title, it's going to be on a pay-per-view on a neutral show, and if they win the title, they will simply switch brands. But I feel like you can also make the argument that SmackDown has a fucking championship. As a matter of fact, it's got 2 of them on the shoulders of Roman Reigns. So that is the title these guys can contend for, because Triple H just said in his very first, unveiling of the championship that it was going to be an brand exclusive title. So when you completely murder that on the first damn opportunity, it's frustrating. You know what I mean? So maybe the purpose of putting SmackDown guys in it is so a bloodline member can make it to the finals. And if a bloodline member faces Rollins, it can be up to Rollins to save that championship from the bloodline, which is a great story. And you might want to do Rollins and Solo Sikoa, or better yet, Rollins and Jey Uso. So maybe the Usos here are on the, I don't know how you get them in the triple threat. Maybe they've announced the participants. I don't know. But if you can get Jey Uso into one of them triple threats, and then he wins, and then he wins the other one, and then he's the guy that goes to Night of Champions to face Seth Rollins, Roman is going to order Jey to bring home that title. And then when he doesn't, that might be the final straw for the bloodline. And then Seth wins, he beats Jey, but is that the match we want, Seth Rollins and Jey Uso? I'd like it for Jey, but I wish there was a way to get to Seth and Cody, but there's not. There's not a way to do that. That's not what they're doing, apparently. It's what I would do, but it's not what they're doing. So that's a possibility, and it would explain why Rollins and Heyman had that interaction, because on Monday I'm like, oh crap, don't tell me they're going to get the bloodline or Roman involved in this somehow. And if it's going to lead right off the bat to some weird unification match, I can't take it. I can't handle it if it happens. Victor Colon, Cody belongs in the main event scene. Yeah, well, you're in luck because he's in it. Yeah, a lot of people have Solo versus Seth. I think Seth and Jey would be the better match. And you could even play into, because Sami Zayn has been trying to rescue the Usos from the bloodline, trying to say, hey, you guys are being abused. You shouldn't take this crap from Roman anymore. And it feels like sometimes it's working. He's chipping away at Jey a little bit. And if Jey still goes into this match, if he makes it to the finals and he still has these doubts, and Roman and Heyman are still making him very uneasy, and they're making him feel like his life is on the line winning this championship, and then you have Sami saying, look who you're in the ring with. Who knows Roman Reigns better than, Seth Rollins and whatnot. So they could tie it in there. Seth knows what Roman's capable of. He'll tell you, go talk to him or whatever. So, that could all play into that somehow. But yeah, that might be what they're doing, because otherwise, if it's going to be a Raw versus SmackDown guy, it would just be 2 random neutral people unless they aren't really feuding. But now you've planted that seed with Heyman and Rollins. That feels like where they're going, which would explain why they're doing triple threats, because now you can have an underdog making it, like a Jey Uso, and you can figure out a way to, when you're putting over Rollins and over Cody, since it's not going to be in the finals, it's a semifinal deal. You don't have to beat Cody now. He can just lose in a triple threat and no big deal, right? You don't have to beat him one-on-one. So I guess I kind of understand why they're doing it, but I think it's lazy. I think they could have more fun. I think they're pussies a lot. And I think the way they set stuff up is because they're too scared to make decisions or pull the trigger on stuff. And I feel sometimes you just pull the trigger and stop being pussies. I feel like that's kind of how they're acting right now. So we'll see how these triple threat matches go and what kind of match it sets up for Night of Champions. But yeah, the more you think about it, it's looking like it's going to be Rollins versus a bloodline member at Night of Champions. So yeah, I agree. I think that's going to do it for me. I am beat. I'm very tired. I'm going to get some rest now, but we will be back tomorrow night. Like I said, 30 minutes later than normal. So we're going to be going live at 8:30 Eastern. It's kind of late, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. So not late for me, but just late for people on the East Coast here in the States. And it's probably who knows what the hell time if you live outside of the country. Regardless, thank you to everyone who always stays up for these pay-per-views. Tomorrow, Judgment Day 2003. I was at this show. And we'll be talking about that as we hang out tomorrow night. So come join us because you're going to be getting a lot of me. I'll be here Monday night as well after Raw, talking about all the goodies. So thank you so much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Leave me any comments or any other thoughts you might have about Backlash in the comments below. And if you're watching this video on demand, do the same. Mash that thumbs up button out the door. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will be catching you guys